Good afternoon to all. I am Dr. Chaube, Professor of Human Resource Management at the Department of Management College of IIMT College of Engineering, Greater Noida. In the course of next 30 minutes or so, I shall be acquainting you with the HR analytics, which is a new buzzword in the corporate ecosystem. As you can see on the screen, I shall be covering my talk in 7 parts. In part 1, I'll apprise you with the introductory part of human resource analytics. In part 2, the importance of HR analytics. Part 3, I'll give you some examples. In part 4, I'll explain as to how HR analytics works. In part 5, certain HR analytic matrices will be explained to you. Finally, before I wrap up, type of HR analytics and which one you select accordingly, how to implement HR analytics in your organization. Now, before I start with the HR analytics per se, I must tell you, or rather refresh some of the words which I'll be using during my talk. And these are time to hire, turnover, absenteeism, and its usual meaning would be time to hire. When I say that, means the time taken between job posted and actual hire done. Thereby, we wish to have an insight into the efficiency of the hiring process. The second word that we'll be using quite frequently is turnover. We mean that rate at which employees leave the organization after they're hired. Because we're interested in this metric as to know as to which all departments that are struggling to retain the talent, and what are the factors that are responsible for the exit. It may be the poor work environment, or dissatisfaction, or maybe lack of training support, or we want to zero onto the causes. Third one, like absenteeism. Absenteeism, we mean how often and how long an employee is away from the workplace. Because such unexpected absence causes huge amount of loss to the organization, particularly when the absenteeism is of longer duration. And for this reason, we want to investigate possible reasons and find solution to that. Now, after having seen certain definitions, now let me talk to you, apprise you about the HR analytics basics. As we all know, human resource functions are game changers in any organization. When I say game changer, I mean human resource management is the only factor of production among the 5 factors of production that we usually call man, machine, material, method, money. This is the only factor of production, production that which can expand or shrink with just a touch of your behavior. The way you deal with the person, the way you interact with the person, it may get inflated, it may get deflated. Whereas any other factor production such as machine, material, money, method, these do not get affected by your personal behavior. But it is only the human resource that just a pat at the back inflates the ego of the person so high that one is willing to do anything for the organization, for you. And the moment you behave in a manner that is unwanted to the other person, he or she will shrink. Her feeling will be badly affected and will withdraw from the scene. will be completely demotivated, and that will be affecting the output or the productivity of the organization very badly. So therefore, the human resource is a very, very important factor production in any organization. That's why it is called game changer. HR practices, they have significant impact on organization success, as without any much of investment, you get the efficiency or the productivity, say to the level of some 120% or maybe minus 100%, means absolute zero. The person is doing nothing just because he's or she is feeling bad about the treatment meted out to him or her. So that means it may be 100% more, it may be 100% less. So, and with no investment at all. So that is why it has significant impact on the organizational success. Now, if HR is so important for any organization that without investment, the productivity can go extremely high, and for that matter, just a poor behavior can put the productivity on the back burner. That means it is worth studying, and it is mandatory for us to make it more and more effective and productive. So therefore, there is a need that we must find a correlation of benefits of HR, various important HR practices, and the vis-a-vis business performance indices. And thereafter, let me just acquaint you as to what we mean when we say HR analytics, using it as a tool to enhance the productivity of the organization. HR analytics is nothing but it's a data-driven method of improving HR decisions. That means HR analytics makes you completely to turn from usual decision-making process, which may be based on hunch, maybe based on just ad hoc decision-making process. HR analytics leads to data-driven decisions, as we call it 3D, data-driven decisions. HR analytics depends on the quality of data collected from the HR metrics. This is very, very important, because if the quality of data collected is not up to the mark, the HR matrices will lead to the faulty decisions, poor decisions. As we all know that raw data cannot actually provide any useful insight. For example, if we say that there has been 10 accidents in an organization, it doesn't make any sense, because for a very small organization, 10 accidents will be too high, and for an organization worldwide, 10 accidents in a year may not be much. So therefore, raw data alone cannot provide an useful insight. The raw data has to be analyzed, directed, and then only it will lead to appropriate decision-making input. Once it is organized, compared, and analyzed, this gives you an insight about the organization functioning. Now let's see what data can reveal. Some examples from HRM I'm giving are data regarding employee turnover. If studied over a period of time, it tells you about the pattern of employee turnover as to what is making employees to leave your organization. Similarly, time taken to hire employees, right from the time job has been posted and the person has been hired, how much time it is taking. Today, in today's competitive world, it is not possible for us to wait unending. It has to be, the employee has to be hired quickly and onboarded, because time lost is the money lost. So therefore, time taken to hire employees becomes a very, very important metric from the HR point of view. The moment there is a need arisen in a department, thereafter the clock starts ticking as to how much time HR takes to recruit new employee. So an organization may take 2 weeks. Another organization may take 2 months. Maybe worst come worst, another organization may take 6 months. So therefore, all three cannot be right, and time has to be squeezed in. So therefore, amount of investment needed to get employee up to a fully productive speed. This is what we are interested in. Impact of learning and development initiatives of one employee performance so impact of learning and development initiatives taken by an organization on employee performance. This may be worth analyzing, because we year on year we keep spending huge amount of money on the learning and development of employees, but this investment, is there any return on it? We are definitely interested in knowing, lest it goes waste. Another one, whichever employees are most likely to leave within a year. This is another data we are very keen, because accordingly we'll keep ourselves ready to find his or her replacement. The impact of HR analytics on an organization, it may be worth knowing through a caselet, a small caselet I'm presenting here. Here is a successful IT MNC. It decided to review its employee benefit program. And the employee benefit program, incidentally, was designed by expert consultants from the world. And it was introduced in the organization 8 years ago. The program covered over 1.5 lakh employees of the company globally. And the review revealed very surprising outcomes. The review revealed that many of the benefits meticulously crafted by experts, and the company had invested a lot of effort and money, remained unutilized. What could be more shock than this? That many of the benefits remain unutilized. There were no takers of those benefits. And certain other benefits, they were country or culture specific. The trend showed. And obviously at the end, what was found out, that the employees were looking for value perception. So that means the utilization of benefits was value perception driven by and oblique the employee preferences. So therefore, the company learned in a hard way certain things, and the learnings were that the bouquet of benefits that they had got it designed from the renowned globally known experts had to be balanced with the industry best practices. Another thing was that the employee benefit program had to match the employee preferences. It had to be in accordance with the demographic profile of the workforce. Means what suited the young people, what suited the middle-aged managers, what suited the top managers. It cannot be one size fits all. Then company also learned, for example, that health club membership allowance, which they had been granting to middle managers, it was least preferred benefit, least utilized benefit, whereas medical insurance was most in demand. So these were some revealing outcome of the review exercise that was carried out using HR analytics by the IT company. So therefore, the company had to redesign its benefit plan, and it introduced a cafeteria plan. When we say cafeteria plan, means fixed cost with a variable content. Means this is what exactly company says, this is what exactly we offer you in terms of your medical benefits or in terms of your benefit plan. Now you decide what all do you want. For example, in case of a medical treatment, what do you want? You want dental treatment, or you want treatment to serious diseases. Obviously, young people, young managers, they will like the treatment against serious diseases to their parents to be reimbursed to them. But at the same time, the young people will not like to get any dental treatment. Whereas the senior officials, they will prefer the dental plan, they will prefer the serious diseases treatment plan. So therefore, your cafeteria plan is the best plan, which offers the fixed cost and with the variable content. Now, here I come to an end of part 1, wherein I brushed broadly about what HR analytics is. Now, in part 2, I would like to dwell upon importance of HR analytics. Why HR analytics is important? It is important because it helps aligning talent management strategies of the organization with the organizational goal. Because how best HR practices you have introduced, this will decide whether your top talent will like to be with you or will like to ditch you, and thereby thwarting your organization goals going for a task. And next, it ensures return on investment. What I'm trying to say, that you incur, an organization incurs huge amount of money in terms of learning and development of employees. But from the learning and development, does the organization get any return on the expenses that it has incurred on the learning and development of employees? This is worth watching. And HR analytics ensures that you get an answer to this question. Next, you have impacting individual well-being. If you have designed and developed your employee benefit plan well, then naturally it is going to be of immense help to your people, and the well-being will be well looked after. So therefore, HR analytics primarily gives you a very valuable input in terms of talent management, return on investment, and individual well-being. Now, why should HR analytics care about HR? Why should HR leaders care about HR analytics? Because utilizing data relevant to HR strategies enables HR leaders to identify successful practices and pinpoint the weak areas that need improvement. HR analytics enables strategic decision making that can drive business solutions through improving productivity, engagement, and retention. Data-driven decisions are ensured by HR analytics. Through HR analytics, we immediately come to know what are the areas that need improvement, what plan we should evolve for, or initiative we should take for future against a mere guesswork. In part 3, I'll tell you now some examples in HR analytics, like turnover. Turnover, as I said, when an employee quits, there is often no real understanding of the reason why an employee has left. And so therefore, organization would like to know if there exists any reason and if there exists any trend. So with turnover being costlier, turnover is so costly to an organization, it can be gauged from the fact that organization has spent a huge amount of money on the recruitment of the employee, on the training of the employee, and when the employee leaves, then there is a time lost by the time we get suitable reliever, and the reliever gets effective at work, and our productivity has decreased, and as a result, there has been a profit loss. So these are the 4 factors that are directly affecting the image of HR department, recruitment department, and the organization per se. So the insight is needed to prevent turnover from becoming an ongoing problem. So like if turnover is a problem, then how HR analytics can reduce this problem? How HR analytics is going to be useful? It will be useful by ensuring that we collect HR analytic experts. They collect, analyze past data on turnover, identify trends and patterns from the data as to why employees are quitting. Is there any trend? Is there any pattern? We will be able to identify those if we are maintaining data and analyzing. Then collecting data on employee behavior. This is another very important aspect as to productivity and engagement. Because if we understand the employee better, then with the employee behavior, we come to know whether the employee is going to be with us or whether the employee is engaged or just passing time. Correlate both these type of data to understand the factors that lead to turnover. The both type of data that is regarding employee behavior and pattern of employees quitting. These two things will definitely tell us as to what are the causes why employees are leaving our organization, and we can pinpoint the factor, the reasons attributing to that, and find an answer. So therefore, actionable step would be the organization must create a predictive model to better track and flag employees who may fall into the identified pattern. And the organization must develop a strategy to improve the work environment and engagement level. If these were the reasons why people have left the organization. And also, organization would do well if it can identify pattern of employee engagement, that is employee satisfaction and performance. Next, we have the factor as recruitment. In HR analytics, another example can be recruitment. Recruitment, we all want right skills, right attributes, persons to join our organization who match with our organization's work culture and performance needs. And all this doing in such a short time is generally not possible, because sifting thousands and thousands of resumes and trying to identify patterns, parameters, and more so when the parameters of different companies are different. For example, one company may be looking for creativity as a better indicator of success. The other company may be looking for work ethics as a better indicator of company performance. So therefore, the requirements are different. So we need to do justice with the candidate, looking for one type of candidate and ensuring that other type of candidate lands up. It is the organization's fault, not the individual fault. So to sort out this, what HR analytics can do, it can enable fast automatic data collection of candidates from multiple sources. Then it can get you the deep insight into the candidate by considering extensive variables like developmental opportunities, cultural fit, etc. And then we can identify the candidate by comparing these attributes to the top performers in our organization and finding the right fit. This will also help us in avoiding habitual bias and will provide equal opportunity to all candidates, because simply that it is a data-driven approach and not simply a guesswork. So therefore, it provides metrics, that is time taken to hire, enabling departments to be better prepared. And it provides historical data pertaining to the period of overhiring and underhiring. If you have overhired and work is less, obviously it brings a bad name to the organization if we start discharging people. Or if you have underhired, then it brings a bad name to the organization because it is not able to accomplish its job in time due to lack of manpower. Now, in part 4, I'll apprise you as to how does analytics, HR analytics works. HR analytics basically works on 3 steps. The 3 steps are: first, data collection; second, data analysis; third is apply the point that comes out of our analysis to the decision-making process of the organization. Data collection, as we all know, big data is a large quantity of information that is collected by the organization. And so is the case in HR also. HR department collects huge amount of data in day-to-day operations. So analyzing these data, evaluating these data with key HR practices such as human resource planning, recruitment selection, training and development, talent management, performance and reward management, safety management. We have data related to all these HR functions. So requirement is that to collect the data from day-to-day operations of HR over a period of time. In next stage, we carry out the data analysis to look for the trends or patterns as to what is the pattern of people leaving the organization, what is the pattern of people joining the organization, how much time it is taking from job posting to the people being hired. So once we see these, based on this, we take appropriate measures and based on right outcome, we apply the appropriate metrics for success of the organization. Among the 3 steps that we've discussed, let's go in a little more detail, like regarding first step, collecting data. Data must be collected. The data that we collect must be of very high quality, and this is a vital step in HR analytics, because if the quality of data is poor, the decision outcome will be poor. From where do we get data? This is another major source of concern. The data, there are 2 sources of getting data. One, from day-to-day operations of HR systems that are prevailing in your organization. The second is from the cloud-based system. That is, mobile devices, even wearable technology will provide you huge amount of data. And third and most important requirement from the data is that data collecting technique must be able to sort and organize for future analysis. Now, what data we generally need or collect? Let's see what data. Data could be related to employee profile. That is what we have HR inventory, as we call it. Then regarding the performance, data on the high performers, data on the low performers, salary and promotion history, demographic data, onboarding, training and development. It could be related to engagement, retention, turnover, and absenteeism. The second part, as I said, that analyzing this data. So what we do, we compare this data with the historical data that is available with us, or compare with the organization standard that we might be having. And it has to be a continuous feed of data over a long period of time. It can't be for a short duration, because the result will be erroneous. And the data must have a comparison baseline. For example, how does an organization know what is acceptable absentee rate? A person may be absent for 5 days, maybe for 20 days, maybe for 2 months. Which is not acceptable to the organization must be known in advance before we call that as absenteeism. So therefore, an organization must have its own datum line with which we compare the now data available and say that it is good or bad for the organization, ignorable or actionable from the organization point of view. And last is the apply to HR decisions. So this stage reviews the trends and patterns So lastly, we have to apply to HR decisions. This leads to designing best HR practices and aligning them to the business performance indices. Now, some examples of HR analytics metrics are time to hire, time to fill, application dropout rate, first year turnover rate, top talent retention rate, average absenteeism rate, training expenses per employee, employee engagement, human capital risk. These are some of the data, HR matrices that we need. Some key business performance matrices could be organizational performance in terms of impact of turnover, absenteeism, and recruitment on business performance matrices. It could be operations, that is day-to-day HR initiatives outcomes, or from these two, we learn as to process optimization, how it is to be done. Then some examples of process optimization could be time to hire. Suppose time to hire is 2 months and the barrier we find is the application procedure. Then we do come to know that application procedure needs to be modified. Similarly, recruitment cost to hire. The total cost involved in recruiting and hiring a candidate. The matrix is monitored over time to track the cost involved in recruiting the candidate. Then turnover. Understanding the reason for turnover and preventing or reducing those reasons are very, very important. Then absenteeism. The reason for absenteeism, or for that matter, engagement rating, employee productivity to gauge the level of engagement, are the important data that we need to design best practices. The last but one part is type of HR analytics. There are 3 types of HR analytics: descriptive, predictive, prescriptive. Depending upon which one we want. Descriptive is what can be improved. Predictive is to predict the future need. And prescriptive is to find the consequences of what we have recommended. So depending upon in which segment we are working, we can devise methods to implement HR analytics. This is what I'm going to tell you in next a minute or two as to how you are going to implement HR analytics in your organization. For this, you need to involve data scientists who are required to coach and instruct your employees. You are required to prepare your HR personnel who must understand the current analytics level, and then only they'll be able to understand and prepare themselves for the next analytics level for the organization. Then you also need to, as a third step, educate your HR professional on digital transformation, that employees must gradually start acclimatizing themselves to the rise of analytics in the work culture, because digital transformation is here to stay. And fourth, we must ensure legal compliance, because we are collecting data. So employees' rights and privacies are very, very important. We must not intrude in their privacy. So therefore, we may do well in engaging legal experts. For that, the data privacy law will come very handy in implementing this. Finally, to conclude, I would like to say that HR analytics equips HR leaders with the necessary data to improve HR functions, employee experiences. It enhances HR strategies that promote job satisfaction in the organization, engaged employees, and healthy company culture. Here I come to an end of my